Forged in the dying age of the Zelthari, the armor was more than just a piece of advanced technology, it was the culmination of their civilization's most sophisticated engineering and ancient mysticism. The Zelthari were a race of scholars and warriors who had long foreseen the inevitable collapse of their empire. They knew that one day, their enemies would return to claim the remnants of their once great civilization, and when that time came, they needed a final safeguard, an ultimate weapon that could not be wielded by just anyone. Thus, they created the Aegis of Vel'Korr. It was built with an intelligence beyond comprehension, a living system that could assess and bond with the wearer only if it deemed them truly worthy. Its purpose was not merely to protect, but to choose. It was not meant to serve the strongest, the most intelligent, or even the most advanced beings. It was designed to find something far rarer in essence, a quality that transcended power alone. It had to ensure that its wearer would never use it for reckless domination or selfish conquest. The armor had seen what unchecked ambition could do. It had witnessed the fall of its creators, their endless wars, their hunger for expansion. It was built with a purpose beyond war, to be a guardian, not a conqueror's tool. When the Zelthari perished, the armor remained, hidden in the ruins of their lost world. Across the centuries, countless beings attempted to claim it. The warlords of the Vorgush, the bio-enhanced champions of the Kazarith, the hive minds of the Extel Dominion all sought the armor, believing themselves to be worthy. Yet, each time, the armor rejected them. Some were repelled instantly, as if an unseen force deemed them unfit. Others tried to fuse with it, only to find its systems shutting down, locking them out. Some even attempted to destroy it, but their efforts proved futile. The armor was not just impervious to damage, it refused to acknowledge any being that did not match the unspoken criteria of its long-lost creators. As time passed, the legend of the armor turned into myth. Many believed it was simply defective, an artifact of a dead race with no true purpose. But the armor was waiting. It had not yet found the one it was meant for, the one whose soul would resonate with its ancient code. It would continue rejecting every alien that tried to claim it, until the day it found the one being in the universe it had been designed to accept. Daniel Cross had never considered himself special. He was just a pilot, a scout for a deep space expedition, tasked with charting unclaimed regions of the galaxy. But fate had other plans. A malfunction in his ship's navigation system sent him hurtling off course, stranding him on an uncharted, desolate planet. His distress beacon was weak, his supplies were running low, and survival seemed unlikely. With no other choice, he wandered through the planet's vast ruins, searching for shelter. What he found instead was legend. The structure before him was ancient, untouched by time yet humming with dormant energy. Strange symbols lined its walls, glowing faintly in the darkness. In its center stood the armor, sleek, imposing, waiting. Daniel approached cautiously, its presence almost magnetic. He had read about artifacts like this in passing stories of the Aegis of Vel'Korr, the armor that no alien could claim. He never thought it was real. He never imagined he would stand before it. As he reached out, expecting nothing, the armor stirred. A deep, resonant hum filled the air. The dormant symbols around him flared to life, casting brilliant streaks of light across the walls. Then, before he could react, the armor moved. It chose him. Metallic tendrils shot forward, wrapping around his arms, his chest, his legs. Panic surged through him, but before he could struggle, a wave of warmth spread through his body. The armor wasn't just attaching itself, it was integrating, syncing with his thoughts, his pulse, his very essence. Memories flooded his mind, not his own, but echoes of the past, visions of the Zelthari, their war-torn history, their final desperate hope. The armor had waited for something, not a warrior, not an emperor, a conqueror, something different, something human. Daniel collapsed to his knees, gasping, The armor pulsed around him like a second skin, adjusting to his form. For the first time in millennia, the Aegis of Vel'Korr had found its wearer. Across the galaxy, sensors flared. Empires took notice. The armor had awakened. The hunt had begun. Every force that had ever craved its power would come for him now. And Daniel, a lone human with no army, no weapons, and no way home, had just become the most wanted being in the universe. The first attack came within hours. A fleet of Vorgish warships descended on the ruined planet. Their sensors locked onto the energy signature of the armor. They had spent centuries searching for it, and now that it had awakened, they would stop at nothing to claim it. Daniel barely had time to process what was happening before the sky was filled with streaks of plasma fire. Instinct took over. The armor moved before he did, propelling him into action. He leaped impossibly high, landing atop a crumbling tower as explosions rippled through the ruins. His mind raced. He wasn't a soldier. He had never fought in a battle before, but the armor knew. It had fought wars, survived invasions, and endured extinction. It guided him, feeding tactical data directly into his brain, mapping enemy positions, predicting their movements. Then, the armor struck back. Energy surged through his arms as weapons formed in an instant, plasma blades extending from his wrists, a shoulder-mounted cannon locking onto targets. He moved like a force of nature, weaving through enemy fire with impossible speed. With a single swipe, he carved through an approaching war mech, its molten remains collapsing behind him. The armor adapted to every threat, shifting its form, deploying new defenses, countering every attack before it could land. But the Vorgish were only the beginning. The Kazarith war priests arrived next, their biomechanical warriors descending like locusts. They viewed the armor as a divine relic, meant to be wielded by their chosen. Their psionic attacks lashed out, attempting to sever the bond between Daniel and the armor, but it resisted. It fought for him, shielding his mind, amplifying his will. He wasn't just wearing the armor anymore, he was part of it. More factions joined the battle. The insectoid Exthal, the merciless war clans of the Sindrak, the cybernetic hunters of the Riftborn Legion. Each one believed they were meant to claim the armor. Each one fell before it. Daniel didn't know how long he could hold out. The armor made him powerful, but he was still one man against an entire galaxy. He had never wanted this war, never sought this power, but now, there was no turning back. The universe had declared him a threat, an anomaly that had to be eliminated. If they wanted the armor, they would have to tear it from his body, and it wasn't going to let that happen.